Hello, it's Donna Joy Usher, and I wanted to share something with you I've been thinking about, or I was thinking about the other day, and that is about all the mistakes that I have made. Well, not all the mistakes I made, because I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more than the ones I'm going to share with you. But I was thinking today about how far I've come in my business just in the last year, and then I started to think about all the mistakes that I used to make. And I wanted to share them with you now in the hope that if you're making them, you'll realize and you can stop, or to stop you from making them as well. So I'm going to go through 10 main mistakes that I have made. So the first mistake, and this one's going to sound really weird, is not having anything to sell. So trying to make money online without actually anything to sell. And this sort of stemmed off because when I first branched into online, I came online as an author and I wrote fiction books. And initially my fiction books were $2.99, $3.99, and I got to the point where the Amazon algorithms changed and I just wasn't making money anymore. And I went from some months I would make $10,000, some months $3,000, some months $1,000, but I had a stable income of $1,000 a month if I wasn't doing any marketing. And then overnight that pretty much started to drift away till I was making hardly anything. So then I switched tactics, and I was learning, I was trying, right, well, I've got to learn to market better. I was doing all this learning and putting all this effort and this time and this energy, and I was frustrated and exhausted and overwhelmed, not making any money and feeling very frustrated by the whole thing. And when I sat down to analyze it, I wasn't making any money because I actually wasn't selling anything. So I know that sounds very weird, but there's a lot of people that have actually spoken to the online space that are doing the same thing. We get so caught up in shiny object syndrome and jumping from thing to thing and learning and courses and stuff that we actually never just choose one thing and focus on that with all our energy to create something out of it. Now, the second mistake I made was actually then not doing any money-making activity. So even if I had something to sell, I was so caught up in the learning and doing new courses and stuff that I wasn't actually doing any money-making activity. I was creating websites, and I was branding, and I was building up membership sites and creating trainings, putting it all together, and then I would sit back and wait for people to come, but of course they weren't because I wasn't actually doing any activity. I wasn't actually growing a tribe or a following or building an email list or doing anything like that. I was like the mad scientist that had created this amazing thing, and then I just expected people to find it, and they didn't. So not doing money-making activity. So the third mistake that I made, which led to a lot of frustration and overwhelm as well, was thinking that I could have overnight success. So I think there's a lot of us that do this. We get very frustrated because we expect to be able to have overnight success when we get online because it's that easy. You can just start making money. And we expect to go from zero to hero really, really quickly. But the truth is that you've got to push it uphill for a long time before you start to get the momentum and the traction, before you start to have enough people, like a movement following you, that you can actually start to have a business that you can scale really well. So once you realize that and you accept it, it stops being frustrating and it starts getting exciting, and you concentrate on building the following and the momentum that you need to start to have the success that you want. So the fourth mistake I made was thinking that I could just use paid ads. I didn't want to network. I didn't want to do social media. I didn't want to have a tribe or a Facebook group or build a following. I just wanted people to come and buy my courses because I knew they could help them. So I just wanted to run Facebook ads. But the truth is that Facebook ads alone, without any social proof creator, without all the social media, they often don't work because people will go and do the due diligence on you. If there's nothing to back up what you've got, if you're not out there with your message to your market and showing up as the person that can help them, then there's a really good chance that they're just going to go away. So you need to have nailed in your organic foundation and have the systems there going before you start scaling with ads. You need to be able to start making money organically and be getting clients organically from what you're doing before you can strengthen that and bring ads in as a tactic. Now, if you do start doing ads and that's all you're doing and you're having success, that's wonderful, but it's also dangerous because something will happen, something will shift, something will change, and then overnight your business will be gone. So you need to start doing the organic stuff, building the email list, creating the followings, creating the tribe, and then once you've done that, then you can scale it with ads. Okay, the fifth thing was not having systems. So, and this basically when I realized I was going to have to start doing social media consistently and showing up rather than just doing it once a week and then feeling guilty the rest of the time, I said to myself, okay, well, if we're going to do this, it was either give up or create an organic following. And I decided I was never going to give up. Therefore, I had to create an organic following. I had to do it in a way that wasn't going to kill me, okay, in a way that wasn't going to suck my soul. I'm not naturally a sort of person who likes to be on social media. I would rather be off reading a book than scrolling through social media. So I'm not a native person there. So I had to get comfortable in creating a system that would allow me to create content for social media so that I could show up as the person that could help people and be consistently showing up. So I started creating a system on how I could create content for an entire week. And then once I had that system, then I was able to leverage that and hand most of that off to my VA so that she does a lot of the creation. I create the kind of content base, but then she does a lot of the graphics and puts it all together, and we have tools and stuff that we use between us. And the beautiful thing about this is that now I am effortlessly creating content, and I actually enjoy it because I love seeing what she has created for me. So systems are very, very important in your business. One, because as you grow, you're going to have to leverage. You're going to have to hand things off to people. And then when you scale, if you don't have those systems in place, if you're not leveraged, then it's all going to collapse because you're not going to be able to keep up and you're going to get overwhelmed and exhausted and burnt out. Okay, the sixth mistake I made was not giving value. It comes back to the social media stuff as well. I was just, taught to calls to actions. So that's what I was doing. But I wasn't giving enough value to make people want to take me up on that call to action. So I was putting all this stuff out and calls together on my calendar to talk to me about how I could help, but I wasn't showing people that I could help them through the value that I was giving with my content. So that was my sixth mistake, not giving enough value. So now I concentrate a lot on giving value, creating a podcast. I'm a Facebook group that I do trainings in. So now I'm very heavily into the value because that's me showing up as a person that can help people. And people doing their due diligence will be able to see that I am that person. And then once you do that, once you start giving the value, then people will start coming to you and asking you for help. So number 7 was not networking. Now, this is going to sound really funny, but I have facial blindness. Now, I only discovered this a couple of years ago. I was watching a current affairs show and I was like, oh my God, that's what's wrong with me. I don't recognize faces, and I can walk into a room full of people that I've met before and not recognize any of them. And it's only when I get to know someone really, really well that I can recognize them. And even then, if they change their hair color, wore it in a different way, things might get a bit shaky. So I had this natural fear of networking because I would always be on edge and I would always be... fear of embarrassment. When someone comes up to you, you're talking to them and you don't know who they are and you're trying to work it out. Well, that would happen to me with someone I'd only met an hour before. So I would be constantly on edge when I was networking. And that led me to not want to network at all. And I became very insular. And I, like my own company, didn't like going to big parties and stuff like that. And that flowed over. So when I got online, I didn't like networking. I just liked hanging out with my friends, and I would go and do courses and things like that, but I didn't like getting into groups or group coaching or mentoring and stuff like that because of this fear of networking. But the problem with that is that I wasn't meeting like-minded people. I wasn't rubbing shoulders with people who were on a similar journey to me, and instead I was only hanging out with friends and family who I love dearly but who don't get it, don't understand what I was doing. And it's kind of almost like they're there condescendingly, oh, there's Donna with her cute little business again, and making little disparaging comments without even realize that they're doing it. Once I finally started joining mentoring programs and coaching programs and hanging out with like-minded people, all of a sudden I was energized. All of a sudden I realized I wasn't alone, and I was on this journey with other people, and I could see these people that were ahead of me that were just like me and see that they were doing it and they were having success. And then all of a sudden it became easier for me to have success because I knew that it was possible. So I'm not saying don't have friends and family, don't love them dearly and hang out with them, do, but also make sure that you've got a group of people who are on the same journey as you that you can rub shoulders with and hang out with as well. Now, at least the 8th, I was always just buying courses. I was addicted to buying courses. So I would be on a webinar and be breaking out a hot sweat about what the course was going to be. I would want it. What were they going to sell me? I would want it before they even got there. Didn't even know how much it was. I'd buy the course. Sometimes I'd do them, sometimes I wouldn't, but I would never invest money in a mentor because that was too much money. And then one day I sat down and had a look at all these courses I had bought and all this stuff that I had learned that I just wasn't implementing because I didn't know how it all went together. And I went at how much I'd spent, and then I went and had a little lie down because I was getting up towards the 6 figures over a period of years. And that was when I decided that something had to change, and I started joining mentors, one-on-one mentors if I could, and coaching programs and things like that. And that was really when I started learning what I needed to know, because I was starting to put it together, but also I was able to have people that I could bounce ideas off and who could correct me if I had a wrong idea or was going in the wrong direction, so saved me a lot of time and energy. Okay, ninth mistake, not working on my mindset. You know, I'm pretty driven, I'm pretty motivated. When everyone was going and blaring about how important mindset I was, yeah, I'm just getting shit done. I don't need that mindset stuff. But the problem was that although I was doing so much, I wasn't getting anywhere. And when I actually stopped and started working on my mindset with the hypnotherapist, what came up was that although on the surface, I knew I was capable of success and I was driven and I was clever and I was smart, deep down inside, I felt like I was cursed by the universe to never succeed. And they were the words that actually came out of my mouth. So here I am on one level trying so hard, but it's like this core part of me doesn't believe that it's ever going to happen. My self-sabotaging, but also my energy was all wrong. And I was never going to do what I needed to do to have success. I wanted all to be able to keep it if I did get it, when I really had that core belief. So mindset is so important for you in your online space and the journey, so that you can go on to have that success that you want. And the 10th mistake I made was not realizing that's all a part of the journey. I would get so frustrated, I would get so disillusioned, I would get so overwhelmed and burnt out when things weren't going my way. But the thing is that the journey is not so much about learning what you need to do, it's about becoming the person that you need to be to have success that you want. You need to be able to give up on perfectionism. You need to stop caring about the haters. You need to build resilience and resistance. You need to create a strong work ethic, conquer your mind, learn to create systems so you can leverage, be able to give control to others, and realize that at the end of the day, your duty is to serve at the highest level. That's what the journey is about. Once you have done that, once you have able to do all of that, then you will become the person who is able to have the success that you want. Okay, earlier on I talked about systems. So I just want to say very quickly that on 5th of December in my Facebook group, The Fully Booked Coach, I'm going to be doing a training where I'm going into my computer to show the systems that I've created for creating social media. So the tools that my VA and I are using, and what she's doing and what I'm doing, and how we're putting it all together and communicating, so that you can see what we're doing and you can start to use it in your own business. To get that training, you've got to be a part of The Fully Booked Coach. So if you're not already, jump in there. You can either search it on Facebook or donnajoyasha.com/fully-booked-coach. If you get in there and you've missed it, it's going to be 8:30 a.m. EST on the 5th of December. If you've missed it and you can't find the thread, it will be loaded up into the video trainings under units. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day, and I will see you very